This video is brought to you by AKS IAS.
Welcome to AKS Daily News Analysis of The Hindu newspaper dated 4th February 2020 of Hyderabad edition. The first article for discussion is taken up from the page number 1. In this article here with the confirmation of third case of novel coronavirus in the state of Kerala. So they have declared this epidemic as a state calamity, and an apex committee has been formed by the State Health Department of Kerala as well as with the State Disaster Management in order to ensure that the outbreak is controlled. In this level, even the high group of ministers has been constituted on the direction of Prime Minister in order to review the management of the outbreak. So all the students who have returned from the Wuhan, from where exactly this epidemic has started, earlier discussed about the novel coronavirus and its symptoms and everything regarding it in the previous video. And here if we see that symptoms of this novel coronavirus are starting with the fever and the dry cough, and it is leading to the breathing problems. So whosoever students, even if they are having a little bit of flu or any kind of cold symptoms, if they are showing from coming from the Wuhan region in any part of the country, including in Haryana, they have been segregated and put into the quarantine. In this case, the Kerala Health Department has also taken adequate preparatory measures, and it has framed detailed guidelines as soon as the WHO, World Health Organization, has issued a global health alert after more than 20 countries have shown the spread of novel coronavirus. There is a natural assumption among the Kerala is that there might be more positive cases, especially from the students who are coming from the Wuhan. Because the Kerala has lot of sizable presence of undergraduate medical students in Wuhan. So now not only the airport surveillance as well as there is a coordinated surveillance and monitoring measures with the help of various departments and local bodies are helping the health department in order to keep a track on those who have returned from China. Not only that, the logistic management by the department has ensured a green channel for the smooth transfer of anyone on home quarantine. Even if they are developing any kind of flu symptoms, they are being facilitated to the isolation. So now the state only requires an intimation from China returnees, and the rest will be taken care of. For this purpose, they have even launched a 24/7 helpline called as Disha 1056 to ensure that a person who has developed flu symptoms will be picked up in a special ambulance and will be transferred to the hospital with isolation facilities. And the control rooms have been opened up in the state as well as in the district levels, so that all the activities that are being taken by the health department will be reviewed on a daily basis. So as earlier, before these three novel coronavirus were diagnosed, there was like the national guidelines said that the only samples of patients isolated in hospitals to be sent for testing. But now the state government of Kerala has revised all those guidelines, saying that they will be collecting samples for testing from all the persons who have returned from Wuhan after January 15th. The second article for discussion is taken from the page number 1, and here the article here is talking about the answers given by the finance minister in the FICCI's National Executive Committee in context to the recently introduced budget. Here the Nirmala Sitharaman has asserted that the government is not going to repeat the past mistakes and it will not try to do the splurge in the economy. Here splurge means to spend freely or extravagantly, because if they try to spend too much into the economy, they do not want to do the same mistake that was done by the UPA governments in the year of 2008 to 9. So now she said that the government was willing to spend in order to prime the economy, but yet she has stressed that she is not going to repeat the mistake of splurging. So she says that money will be spent now, will be used in order to create the public assets and in order to bring about the greater connectivity, and the government will show where the money will go so that the investors can plan where to invest. Now, responding to the speculations that the physical deficit may cross 4 to 5%, of the GDP. She says that that the experience of the last time that the India had real tough economic situations, and the call that was taken up during that time as well as the post, the physical deficit numbers was touched by the government then. Maybe here she was hinting at the perhaps 2009 to 10 physical deficit, which has crossed 6.7% of the GDP after the sharp slowdown triggered by the global financial crisis. So the splurging with which the economy was expected to reach a better level and to rise from the bottom, but it has actually created a lot of ruckus after the post splurging. So she says that such type of experience is afresh in the government's mind, and there will not be any kind of splurging this time. So responding to the another question which was given to her, that why the stock markets were not happy on the budget day, as we have seen a slide down of around 988 points during Saturday's trading. She says that it was because of the weekend that the Sensex was not happy, but today, that is on Monday, the mode is being happy. A very fervent and a very tricky answer she has given, but although knowing that the budget has not satisfied the enough number of peoples and there were a lot of speculations coming with the budget. The next question was answered by the Revenue Secretary, defending the move about the cap that the employers' contribution, especially to the Employees Provident Fund or the National Pension Scheme or the Superannuation Fund at 7.5 lakh a year. He said that this will only affect those earnings which are high above the 60 lakh a year, and he has quoted the example of US where they have 401k account where there is a limit to how much employer can contribute. Now the same thing is being done in many parts of the world, and they are also try to see up to what limit they can provide this employer's contribution into the EPF. So having no limit on this EPF contribution, he pointed out that this will allow some scope for the reducing one's tax dues by restructuring the salaries into various components in such a way that this employment provident fund or the national pension scheme component will be hiked. So therefore it is not something very unusual that the government has done, which is being done by other parts of the government. So that is the same thing they have tried to procure it here. Yet another report which was given by the National Crime Records Bureau on the highest number of women as well as children missing in the country, which was directed by the Supreme Court to analyze the data on missing persons, especially on women and children, so that the areas which are prone to persons being trafficked can be identified. And the National Crime Report Bureau study was based on the Annual Crime in India report, which was compiled by the same agency for the years 2016, 17 as well as 18. And the report says that the highest number of women and children who go missing in the country are from the Maharashtra, followed by the Madhya Pradesh. And the report goes on to say that the study which aimed at in order to identify the areas wherever there are registered cases of missing persons. Here, if we can glancely see, only the data which is given by the NCRB is taking only about the registered cases of missing persons, especially of women and children, but there may be many cases where there will be not even the reporting by anybody about the missing women and children. So the need for the study has arisen because of the fact that incidents of missing women and the children are not uniform across the country. Some parts of country reports higher incidents, and such areas could be one of the sources for transit or the destination for child or women trafficking in India. So coming to the report, only talking about women and children together, it will be Maharashtra first, then followed by the Madhya Pradesh. Whereas the state with the most number of missing women alone, if we take, it is actually topped by the Maharashtra, followed by West Bengal and Madhya Pradesh, and then Delhi and Rajasthan. So in 2016 alone, as many as 28,316 women went missing in Maharashtra, which was followed by the West Bengal and Madhya Pradesh. Now coming to the missing of children alone, if we take from the year 2016 to 18, a total of 63,407 children have gone missing year-wise if we take, and this The maximum number of missing reports were again recorded from the Maharashtra and then followed by the West Bengal. So the study said that in Madhya Pradesh, especially in Indore, has reported the highest number of missing children, followed by the years 2017 and 18. Here in next article, the Supreme Court has sought the response from center and states about the Borewell deaths. We continuously hear in the news and we see the tragedy that is happening, especially with the Borewell deaths. The small children which get trapped because of the unclosing of the borewells after they have not responded well about the water. Right, so we've seen numerous movies also on it, but yet authorities have been neglected about the safety measures, says the petition. So the bench, which was led by Justice Arun Mishra, has issued notice to both the central as well as the state governments in order to talk about or file a report on the actions that were taken up by the officials whose neglect has led to tragic death of children who were trapped in the borewell. Right, so the authorities still remain neglectant about the safety measures concerning the borewell, despite Supreme Court itself has given direction in the year 2010. So almost it's been a decade or the 10 years, but yet not even one state has even compliance with the directions of the Supreme Court. And the petition says that the deplorable negligence which led to the death of many people in and across the country, but yet even here he has mentioned about a specific case of 2-year-old guy in Tiruchi, and he contended that the Tamil Nadu government has failed to make any precautionary measures despite the court's directions 10 years ago. The article here is talking about the draft which was published by the Union Environmental Minister that effectively prohibits the users from installation of RO purifiers that we are seeing in our homes. This will be a major setback to almost all the RO system manufacturers, because it shows that there is no need of such type of RO purifiers, especially in the areas wherever the supply of the drinking water are meeting the Bureau of Indian standards. So they says that installation or the use of membrane based water purifier system shall be prohibited either at a point of use or at a point of entry for purification of supplied water, which is subject to conventional filtrations and disinfection process, or is from any source which are in compliance with the acceptable limited for drinking water prescribed by the Bureau of Indian Standards. This ministry has set the notification which has made it public. Now it is up for the public comments in order to know about the manufacturing of RO systems. Ministry of Environment has issued this order in order to comply with an order that was given by the National Green Tribunal, which prohibits the use of reverse osmosis purifiers in place wherever the total dissolved solids in a supplied water are below 500 mg per liter. So the Water Quality Association of India, which represents the companies of ROs, have moved the Supreme Court for the stay of NGT's order, but yet the Supreme Court has declined to intervene with the NGT and directed the Environmental Minister in order to issue the notification that restricted the use of water filters. Now the NGT has ordered a ban on all these RO purifiers on the grounds that these RO purifiers waste lot of water, and in the process of removing salts, they actually remove even the essential salts required for the drinking water. These RO purifiers, while useful in reducing the salts, but they do not tackle with the bacterial agents or even they trace any kind of chemicals, and the manufacturers often claim that additional filtration is required in order to deliver the potable water. So this is a work in progress, but yet this is a part of significant change that implementing in order to regulate this RO manufacturers and to inform the consumers that RO system is not at all required for any people for drinking of water. So if we see the current BIS regulations, now it considers 500 to 1200 per liter of the dissolved. If this liter of water contains the essential salts as well as some organic matter, acceptable, though there is no lower limits. From the editorial page, the article here is talking about the camel in the tent. It is in reference to the recent budget proposal by our finance minister, that is to allow the district hospitals to be attached to the private medical colleges, and what will the problems it will lead to. The article here is properly emphasized, and that too the proposal here pushes the medical colleges to the existing district hospitals in the PPP mode, just because of there is lack of doctors as well as the resources available with the government in order to provide for the sufficient number of medical students for the country requirement. In the recent speech, they have introduced a proposal and stated that those states that fully allow the facilities of hospital to the medical college and they wish to provide the land at a concessional rates, then the state will be eligible for the viability gap funding. So several details regarding this are already available in the public domain, as because this was also proposed by the Niti Aayog. This urges that there is practically not possible for central or the state government in order to bridge the gaps in the medical education as well as in the limited resources and finance that are necessitated for formation of PPP model. So combining the strength of both sector, that is public as well as the private sector, this would augment that the number of medical seats available and the moderate cost of medical education. So experts have argued that Niti Aayog has not even given sufficient play to the role of the district hospital, as which are pivot to the public health care system in every state. So now allowing the private parties to operate and maintain the district hospitals and to provide the healthcare services could seriously dent the public health services, because the problem here is that it will lead to a creation of free patients versus others, because this proposal says that this private firm can actually ask or demand or collect the appropriate hospital charges from the patients. So this is understandable opposition, because the Tamil Nadu government, which has a robust healthcare system, has properly opposed to the idea, because here in Tamil Nadu every district has a district hospital at every level. So now if you allow the medical or the private institutions to come and get attached to the hospital, it is like inviting a camel into the tent, and once it enters it would not listen to anybody, but actually it will eat away everything whatever is available in the tent, right? In the same way, if we allow these medical colleges to come and operate at the district levels, they can actually demand any amount of fees from the people who come here to the private healthcare sectors for a free of cost, right? So now even if there is some kind of free patients, they would treat the other patients who are paying the money as differently. So the prime motive of equality about the access to the healthcare system will be destroyed by allowing such type of medical colleges to be attached to the district hospitals. Moreover, we know if it is private medical colleges, not only that they do not ensure the proper education of the medical students, they just take money and give the seats. And second thing is that now by allowing the private healthcare sectors, all these people like who are graduating or undergraduating will be asked to work in this district hospitals. So now without this motive, they will always use all the resources that are available in the district hospitals, and they will also make a difference between the free patients and others. So this type of model is totally against the Tamil Nadu government, which said that it will also lead to the privatization of the healthcare sector. So as of today, the only solution will be that present day government is spending only 2% of the GDP on the healthcare services, and it will ensure more resources are available in order to provide free and quality healthcare to all. So it's better if we increase our GDP and provide for many medical colleges which are run by the government rather than giving them into the hands of the private sector. But yet if the government is still following this plan, then it is like all the healthcare system and the welfare economy that we have been trying for will be hit at very badly. The article here, which is taken up from the open page of 9th one, is very beautiful, and it is trying to talk about the difference between the AAP government and the BJP government, where there will be elections in Delhi, and it is talking about the AAP government in Delhi, which has taken the surplus of capital and how well it has distributed among its people. Now it is just a week less for an assembly elections in Delhi, and if we talk about the campaigning of the BJP, which is mostly focusing on the CAA, NRC or the NPR, and it is trying to talk about the AAP government as anti-Hindu or an anti-national people, giving reference to the Shaheen Bagh incident. But whereas if we see the AAP's electioneering campaign, they are mostly targeting on how well the government has done in the previous year and what it wants to do more. The question is here they are never mentioning about the CAA or NRC, but here their campaign is mainly focused on the electricity, water, education, schools and hospitals, which are very much important, and their focus is just on the civic issues in the campaign speeches. This emphasis is very important if we see, because cities and especially if we see Delhi, which is also a large metro, are becoming more and more exclusive towards the marginalized people. On the whole, if we see, Delhi has around 49% of the people in Delhi live in slums. So Delhi has always been a city of poor, displaced as well as the dispossessed. So over the years, large development projects as well as the master plans has pushed this poor into more and more backward. So all because this is also improved with the Oxfam reports, which has said that India is a fast growing economy along with the most unequal economy that it is going. If we talk about the cities, especially this one, they generate around 60% of the GDP, and the huge surplus that is generated through the exposition of some of the basic utilities and the services in the cities, right? So but yet the government here are mostly focusing on more and more on the privatization, either through the direct privatization or through the backdoor privatization of utilities, especially the health, education, water and even the sanitation, right? So now the government's proposed smart cities also project further facilitation this growth of surplus by allowing the Internet of Things in order to govern the cities and as well as changing the residents for the services that are being offered. Now if we take the example of the Kejriwal government that has tried to demonstrate this surplus and how well it has distributed among the citizens, this if we take the example of first electricity up to 200 units is free to the people of Delhi, and from 200 to 400 they are given a subsidy of 50%, right? Coming to the water, up to 20 kiloliters or 1000 liters it is free. And if we see this both in together, if you compare it with Mumbai, the people of Mumbai spend around 2000 rupees in order to get these two facilities. Not only that, in the health wise, the Delhi government has brought about a very beautiful measure, coming up with the mohalla clinics, right, or the neighborhood clinics, what we call them. So the government here has created four-tier healthcare delivery system, which consists of not only the primary healthcare systems but also clinics at the secondary healthcare systems, as well as the multi-speciality hospitals and the super speciality hospitals. So according to National Health Accounts estimates, patients in India bear a health sector a chunk of 61% of the total health expenditure. So therefore, this free clinics will help to reduce the financial burden, especially on the poor and the marginalized groups. So as of today, there are 300 mohalla clinics in Delhi, and the government is proposing to increase them more 500. And this will shift the health paradigm from not only curative medicines that are provided, but it will also lead to the preventive measures that the government can take, right? So now the Kejriwal government is also providing the free bus services for women, right? So this it is also making a promise that it will increase the bus rides free for students. So if at all, if they are elected to power. So if we see on the whole, given the Delhi's pollution, such type of encouraging them with the free bus rides will be good for them, because people will prefer than the private buses, they are going to prefer the public buses. So it is like encouraging the public for the environmentally good, right? So nearly, because the 49% of the Delhi population are in the slum or clusters, These people have got enormous respite due to the distribution policy that is being implemented by the Kejriwal government. So now the Kejriwal government, if at all I feel it this model to be very very beautiful, that must be actually followed by everyone. Right, in the recent budget speech, the Nirmala Sitharaman is also talking about the wealth creation, but here the wealth creation is mostly emphasized by the private individuals. But if we see how well the government, if at all it can provide such type of wealth, how much money will be left with the people, and how this money will be even put into the economy in order to give a use up to the economy. Coming to the next important article, talking about the very important and strategic importance Siachen troops that are given poor gaze, says the CAG, that is Comptroller and Auditor General, in a report that was tabled in the Parliament on Monday. So this is in regarding to the armies and the deficiencies that are given to the armies, especially talking about the clothing, rationing, as well as the housing in the high altitudes, including the Siachen. As for the Indian National Defence University is concerned, which was proposed in the same Kargil committee, which has even proposed the CDS, that is Chief Defence Service, which was done this year, right? So, with the same Kargil committee has recommended for the Indian National Defence University, and CAC said that the institute was not yet established, although the project cost has been revised from the 395 crores to around 4000 crores. That is, we can see an increase of around 419%, but yet there were delays of up to 4 years in the procurement of high altitude clothing and the equipment, which are leading to an acute shortage of essential clothing and equipments. These are critical shortages of even the snow goggles, ranging from 62 to 98%. So the troops have not been issued any kind of multi-purpose boots, and these boots are very very important, but yet they are resorting to the recycling of available boots. The CAG said in its report on the performance audit of provisioning as well as the procurement during the period from 2015 to 18. Furthermore, it has said that the old models of face masks, jacket and the sleeping bags were procured, and the troops did not have the benefit of using the provided products. This is mainly because of the lagged research R&D laboratories, because of which we are continuously importing this kind of equipment from the foreign countries. And the INDU, that is Indian National Defence University, which was recommended by the Kargil committee in order to especially address this kind of deficiencies in India's security management system. Although the cabinet has given in principle approval in May 2010 for establishing such type of INDU in the Gurgaon district, but yet as of today, even after the 2 decades of after its recommendation, this INDU has not come into place. And this report has also talked about the special rations for the troops who are guarding our country in the high altitude areas, especially talking about the energy requirements if their food is not good, right? So this energy requirements, they say that they have scaled authorized on cost to cost basis, which has required in the reduction of the quantity. So this compromised the calorie intake of the troops by the 82%. Can you know if the calorie intake of those persons who are manning our country in the high altitudes, if their calorie intake is less, then how would they actually do the things properly? Not only that, the housing project, which is aimed at improving the life conditions of the troops, especially who are working in the high altitudes, was executed in a very ad hoc manner that is actually not giving the proper resettlement to the troops who are working in Siachen even. The next article taken up from the page 11 here is talking about the Operation Vanilla, which is trying to bring the island of Madagascar very closer to India. Right, we already know about the Operation Vanilla, which was conducted by the Indian Navy using the INS Airavat in order to give the flood relief measures to the island of Madagascar. And these relief measures are being followed up this week with the Madagascar's defense minister, who is yet to visit our Lucknow and the Delhi for the high level trip, since the Delhi incorporated this island off the coast of Africa into the Indian Ocean region. We know that earlier Madagascar was included as the off coast of East African region, but yet now they are going to include them along with Sri Lanka, Maldives, Mauritius, and Seychelles into the Indian Ocean regions, and which are popularly called as Vanilla Islands. This is India's strategic capabilities in order to show off its capabilities in the furthermore islands of the Indian Ocean region, right? So this INS Airavat has delivered relief materials or the supplies to the cyclone hit Madagascar, and this is in compliance with the government's Sagar policy. If we see the abbreviation of Sagar, it means security and growth of all regions in the Indian Ocean region, right? This Sagar concept was announced by the Prime Minister in 2015 during when he has visited the Mauritius, right, and the other Indian Ocean islands. At that time, Madagascar, including the Comoros and French island of Reunion, were part of the East and South African division at the external ministries now. With this, now they have going to include even the Madagascar into the islands of Indian Ocean region by extending this definition. So recently the minister has decided to include three islands, not only the Madagascar but also the Reunion and Comoros into the region of Indian Ocean region. So in December 16th on the decision, it said that the incorporation of all these islands are popularly called as Vanilla Islands. This is in reflection to the growing strategic importance of the Indian Ocean islands with the framework of Indo-Pacific. So the inclusion of the region into the IOR, it will signal the government's increasing level of comfort with the Indo-Pacific concept that describes the entire neighborhood from Africa to the US West Coast. So this is one of the many changes that has affected the ministry's organization structure, including Foreign Secretary, who has decided to club the entire Indian Ocean region as well as the South and Indo-Pacific divisions under one additional secretary called as Indo-Pacific. So according to the officials, the specific outcomes from the Madagascar defense ministers who is going to visit our expo, the defense expo which is being held at Lucknow, maybe this is going to finalize, and it will be like an effort that would bring Madagascar as a strategic cooperation similar to what is currently that is being shared by the Indian Ocean region countries. And not only that, our Indian Navy under the joint EEZ portals, kind of patrols the Maldives, Seychelles and Mauritius, which all have joined the Indian Coastal Radar Chain Network system.